Welcome to More Than a Book Club podcast. I'm your host, Leyna.
And I'm your other host, LJ. And we got a big day today. If you are watching, you already can tell that we have Jasmaine Payne here with us. Woohoo!
Thank you very much, Leyna and LJ, for having me.
Of course.
Jasmaine wrote the book Leech, which I read really quickly. I think you were a finalist for a Page Turner Award. Was that?
Yes.
And I was like, I can totally see why, because it was literally like I wanted to keep going.
It was so good. So good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always happy to hear different perspectives of the book, because it was very experimental for me coming from Guyana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you're not a local author. You're not an American author. We met you through a writing group.
Yes.
You are in
Kismet.
Guyana. Yes. And we learned that Guyana is in South America because both LJ and I were like, isn't that Africa? We were totally wrong.
It's a common misconception just because of Ghana. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Yes. Yeah.
But we're learning. So before we get into the book, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I am a communications specialist in the daytime, my 9 to 5, but I'm also a professional editor. I've been an editor for about 9 years, editing for a national paper, a feature editor specifically. And then apart from that, I really have just been writing all my life pretty much. And I've always wanted to keep writing as part of whatever I'm doing. So all of my career choices have stubbornly stuck to something that's writing related, just because, if I couldn't live as an author just yet, I prefer to be writing in some ways. I've just really enjoyed this so far and how everything has come together. And I'm really, really enjoying the author journey specifically.
So we met you through the writing group, and you were telling us some really cool things about your book launch for Leech.
Yes.
Can you share those with our audience?
So the book launch was very much like I won't say a happy coincidence, more like it wasn't something that I expected to get as big as it did. When I launched the book, I was just telling everyone that this was a really hard process that took me more than a decade to finish. And I really just started out by inviting a small group of people, like less than 40, to a very small cafe. And then I said, maybe I should invite the Prime Minister, or maybe I should present a book to the Prime Minister and the US Ambassador and the British High Commissioner. And then they all ended up coming.
So cool.
Oh my gosh.
And ended up
I would have been
amazing.
like, oh my gosh, panicking.
I really was, because I remember, I'm putting things together, and then their advanced security walk into the. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I know it was, and then everybody too wanted to support. So more people than I expected came to the launch, and I was really, really just grateful. And it actually showed me, in Guyana, how quiet the literary community was, and just how, enthusiastic they were to see a book come to life in this way. I used some of my marketing chops to kind of create a modern feel about this author launching her book. And so, everybody loved it, and it turned out to be an excellent, excellent event. And I'd like to think it set in motion a lot of other literary things in Guyana. So there you go.
I know I've seen different Instagram posts, and Jasmaine is on Instagram, and we'll link that in our show notes.
Yes.
That you've been doing different events and speaking and presenting, and also you mentioned that you were writing. So I'm excited. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
You've lived around the world though too, because didn't you go to the UK? Am I remembering correctly?
I actually studied at the University of London, but it was distance. It was distance education.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
And then when I did my master's again at a UK university, it was actually pandemic. So again, it was distance.
Gosh, that's so crazy.
I know. So no, but I've spent a lot of time in the US and in Guyana. So because they're my two home bases.
Makes sense. So yeah, as we mentioned, you published the book Leech, which we both loved and could not put down. So what is like your elevator pitch, or just like a quick, like, how do you tell everyone you got to read this book because here? So go.
You guys should know that every author panics at that question. Like, what's your book about, right?
Yes.
But Leech is about a Guyanese author that locks herself away in a psychiatric hospital, claiming that her best-selling debut was not actually a fictional life story of an 1800 serial killer, but in fact, he possessed her to write the book. And so we're investigating whether that's true or not. How did I do?
That was
So
perfect. And I got to say
perfect.
something with that, because people that listen to our podcast know that LJ does not do well with scary supernatural stuff. It is not.
Oh,
It works. Trust me, I can handle it. I could not put it down. I read it at night. So, guys, know that if you're like me and you get scared easily, it was so well done and just so intriguing. But anyway, I interrupted you, Leyna. What were you going to say?
I was going to say also that it had some supernatural elements,
it does.
Mm,
but I love
does.
supernatural, so that worked perfectly for me. I was like, yes. And
Well, it worked perfect with the book. It had to. Like,
Mhm.
that was, it was amazing.
Yeah, but LJ, I don't know how you're gonna deal with book two because it does get a little bit more creepy for book two.
Ooh, so is this going to be a sequel?
It is definitely a sequel. I mean, you tell me you won't read the book. Does
Yes.
it end like a sequel? Like a sequel is coming? I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
I know, I'm like, I
It's
want to hear what
not.
happens next.
Yeah, like it ends in such a way that you're like, I'm gonna need some more. But you don't know if you're ever gonna get some more,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
so
So
that's exciting.
there's definitely a sequel, and like I teased a little bit on Instagram. It's gonna answer a lot of questions because there are a lot of people that have questions like, "Hey, so what's really Leech's deal? Like, what is he? Like, is he a vampire?" A lot of people think he's a vampire.
Hmm.
So yeah, I go into I'm like, okay, if you want to ask the questions, you got to be prepared for the answers. So it's gonna get a little more gory.
Okay.
Okay, that's
So we're gonna
exciting.
learn
I think there's
some lore. Yeah.
I know I would definitely love to know even more, get more about Leech himself,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I mean, he's such an intriguing character.
So it's definitely so I was very experimental in the first book, but even more experimental in the second book because I will be tying Guyanese folklore into the book and still making it about a man from the 1800s Britain. So
Okay.
how is that
Love
going
it.
to happen? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah.
And I really liked whenever, and it says this in the first like 5-10 pages, so I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything.
So
It is 2 different timelines. So
yes.
we meet John Thomas Reginald Leech, which I was like, I love the name.
Yes.
He's in the
I'll tell you
1800s.
something about it. I'll tell you something about the name, but go.
Okay. And he does become a serial killer. Like, we know that.
Yeah.
And we also meet, is it Arion or Arion?
Yeah.
Okay. I,
Yeah.
I'm always a stickler for names because my name
I
gets
get you.
pronounced or mispronounced all the time. So I'm always like, which one is it? But she, like you said, she is a writer, Guyanese writer who lives in the States and
Yeah.
writes this phenomenal book, like 1 million copies sold. And she has, like, her career has blown up instantly. But she does end up having to check into kind of like a home, a psychiatric facility that she's trying to get rest and away from this John Thomas Reginald Leech, who
Yes.
died in the 1800s, but then has attached himself to her to write his
Mhm.
story.
Yeah. I love that you're like the first and only person that actually says his entire name.
Really?
She's like John Thomas Reginald Leach.
I'm like, I
Yes.
really liked it.
John Thomas Reginald was kind of like my Easter egg for Jack the Ripper because they
Okay.
operated in the same time. So
Mhm.
JTR, John Thomas Reginald, so Jack the Ripper.
I like that. I
I
like
didn't
that.
get that the first time, but now I'm like,
It's,
ooh.
it's definitely just a quiet Easter egg because initially he was supposed to be Jack the Ripper, and then I realized,
Mhm.
that community is so big and so overdone in some cases
Yeah.
because there's so many modern day retellings of the story. So I was
Mhm.
like, okay, if I can't do that, let me at least get my little Easter egg in.
I love
I
that.
liked the last name Leech
Leech,
because
yeah,
I was thinking of a leech that sucks
Mhm.
correct,
everything, and I was like,
yeah.
that's kind of what he does.
It is definitely ultimate parasitic relationship, It
Mhm.
really
Yes.
is. Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of nice long names.
Yes.
This producer in this chair over here, this feline producer, his
Uh-huh.
name is Liam Preston James Barber. Then we've
My
got
goodness.
Rhett Winston Alexander somewhere in here. So the
Wow.
boys have long names. The girls are just like Presley, Penelope, and Stassi Marie. But still, I'm like, I like because then when they do something, I got to yell at them the full name,
The full
and it's
name,
just
the
Mhm.
the
government
more
name, yeah.
the
The
government
government
name.
name.
Yeah. Mhm,
So yeah,
mhm.
but I love a good long old fashioned name.
Ariane goes to Homer's home for health and wellness, and she's saying that it was built in the 1800s and it feels like it was stuck in time. The male main character is from the 1800s, and then the female character is stuck in a place that's stuck in the 1800s, which I was like, that's really kind of
Right.
fun because
That is.
she's getting this feel of not what his life would have been like, but kind of the same timeline, even though that these take place in
Mhm.
different timelines. Like we're learning
Yeah,
about his life and then hers at the same time. There is that
yeah.
common thread.
I like that observation. It's like, sometimes you learn new things when you see how readers interact with it, and I think that's my favorite part. So I didn't even intend to do anything that way, but I love that you made that connection.
I've
Yes.
heard that from several authors that they'll write a book and then people will ask questions and they're like, that's not what I intended at all. But
Yeah. And it makes you feel good because a lot of things, like I said, are not intentional. You feel really good when you see people make certain connections, and then you're able to be like, okay, so I was making sense all the while. You're not always sure when you're writing the book. You're always like, are they going to get this? Are they going to like it? Am I too much? So yeah.
and so
Yeah,
you
love
said that
it.
you spend some time in the US or you've gone back and forth.
Yeah, my family lives in Texas. And
Okay.
so the migrant experience, having traveled several years to see my family, my parents in particular, it stuck with me, some of their observations and their feelings about living in America as migrants. So it's just something that I wanted to just weave into the story because I felt like it,
Mhm.
it added some nuance, to what was
Mhm.
happening to the author herself. Yeah.
Mhm. How did you write so well? I was like, it's so relatable, and you wrote these locations amazingly.
Definitely the New York is so there was a when I wrote the New York scenes, I was in New York at the time. I walked the same streets that she
Cool.
and John Leech walked. So the descriptions are very real. There I would be making notes as I walk through the neighborhood, what was happening. So it's very real experiences. Even the coffee shop King's Coffee that she sat and she met Leech at. That's a
Mhm.
real space that I sat and
That's
I had
cool.
coffee. And it really inspired me. New York was just so rich with just literary inspiration, I want to see. And for the England scenes, that was a bit more tough because I was going to school. I was studying my bachelor's in English, but all I had were these literary textbooks, right? But, I fell in love with the period and I just wanted to
Yeah,
be able to write in that period. In fact, I think I might stay there for a while in all of my books.
I love that. So, do you have a favorite character from your book?
Oh, oh, Leech. I'm so- I think I'm just attached to Leech just because of how much time I spent
Yeah.
building him. And I say building because he has samples from so many literary figures, and even popular culture figures like Hannibal Lecter, of course,
Mhm.
Dr. Ripper, John Doe from Seven, the movie Seven. Have you ever seen that? Yeah.
Yeah, yes, so good.
Yeah. There's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, V for Vendetta. There's so many little snippets of his personality in there. They're all from pieces of entertainment that stuck with me, So I just
Love it.
really am attached to everything that he
Yeah.
is. Well, not the bad things, but
Right, right, right.
just the complexity of like it's a complex character, and so build a complex character, you get very attached to that persona.
Absolutely, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And even the bad stuff.
You do become attached, and like you said, LJ, even the bad stuff, like, I was excited to read about it, and LJ is
I
the true
know.
crime aficionado. So
I love true crime, and what I hate to say with this is, like, he is a character that you even though you know, like, all the bad stuff, like, part of you is like, "Don't get caught." Like, you kind of are rooting for the
yes.
bad guy at times, and it doesn't make sense, but you are like, "No, no, no, don't get caught." I'm like, "Wait."
I did get a lot of feedback. Like, he's like, "Oh, he's such a terrible person, but I like him."
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
And you are rooting for him because it feels like he like, even from a child, he had
Yeah.
these ambitions, and they were kinda shut
Mhm.
down,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
I really
he
wanted
grew
to
up in
just
a
show,
yeah.
yeah, like sometimes, we do, even the worst of people, they have a human story. And
Mhm.
LJ, well, Lena said you're a true crime aficionado. So
I am.
same, and I think what I'm attracted to is the psyche of
Mhm.
these people, like trying to understand, hey, where did this go wrong? You
Mhm.
started out as a regular human being with regular feelings and dreams, like you said, aspirations, and then something went twisted. So at which
Yes.
point did that happen? And I'm fascinated by that
Mhm.
trajectory. And I wanted, so for me, that's how I always want to investigate that and portray it, because I
Mhm.
think it's something that we can all learn from,
Absolutely.
in our own challenges, what do we not do in order to
Right.
end this way? Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
I think too what people don't I mean, people that like us that we consume a lot of true crime, we know there often is some sort of triggering event, especially in serial killers,
Yes.
and then they
Yes.
can take, like, decades off
Uh-huh.
from like, they can just stop, and
Yeah.
then something happens and they pick back up, which is what happened with, like with BTK, which ultimately led to his capture. But I'm so fascinated by all of that, which is why I also love all the profiler stuff like John Douglas and, like, the and Burgess who, like, were the innovators with all of that. So, like, it is you can't help but then be analyzing Leech as you're going
Yeah.
through to, okay, which thing brought out this part of you? And
Right.
like you said too with them, a lot of times you'll have, like, 2 real people raised in the same household, and their households are completely normal, and one grows up to be a law-abiding citizen, and then the other one grows up to be a serial killer, and it's just like, "What?"
Very,
Yeah.
very. It's I think that journey and how it differs for everybody is really interesting to me. So that I'm definitely gonna keep investigating along that
Yay.
line. Yeah.
I love it.
And Leech, like you said, he does have still some humanity. One of the first scenes, I won't say what happens, but
No.
he has to close the door because he doesn't want to hear something, and it's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
so he does care, he does,"
Mhm.
and there is a little bit of a he wants to be wanted. There's
Mhm.
several
Mhm.
relationships and times in his life that you can tell he just really wants that
To be
acceptance.
seen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
And isn't that something that we have? And that's why I was trying to portray it as well. It really doesn't matter where you come from. It's a human condition. In the 1800s, when we didn't have social media, people were still very much obsessed with recognition, but in their own way,
Yes.
whether it was class or, what you were doing, fame, it was just very much at the top of everyone's priority list. So it was just really fascinating to me when I read it too, read about it in history.
We're still the same people, just we can,
Different time.
seek different time, we can seek
Yeah.
validation too
Yeah.
fast.
Exactly. And so here in this book, everyone is seeking validation in their own way. Like even Dr. Preston, he was an unexpectedly important character. Like initially, he did not have such a big role, and a lot of people like Dr. Preston now after the book. Just hearing them be attached to Dr. Preston, I'm just like, wow, I did not expect him to be so liked.
and he was the doctor who helps, Ariane when she goes to Homer's home
Yes,
for health
yes,
and wellness.
yes,
When I loved how he got drawn in, like, at first she's like, "Okay, whatever, she's
yeah,
crazy," and I think there's something to that where I think I could get pulled in and at least be, like, questioning, like, "Oh my gosh, is this real?" Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
There were so many times that I'm like, "What's gonna happen? What
And
is the outcome of Dr.
Mhm.
Pressman?" And what yeah. I don't wanna say anything to give anything
No,
away,
we
but I
can't
was
say
like, "W."
anything because I had a question for you, but if you answer the question, then we give a spoiler. So
I will say that every twist and turn delivered,
yeah,
and and it kept you on the every I just kept you on the edge of your seat the whole time,
yeah.
like, what's coming next? And
But I like it because the question I like to ask that's not necessarily going to give spoilers.
okay, we no spoilers, we won't.
Without spoilers, was there anything, because I'm the kind of author that wants to know, right? Was there anything you wished was done differently? Like anything at all, just from my feedback purposes.
I think I just want more, which you're gonna
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm like,
provide that to
Yeah.
us. But I also think with that in mind, I also like books that leave me with questions, especially if it's a thriller or kind of thriller historical fiction, like psychological thriller. I think those are the type of books where that makes you keep thinking, like, I wonder. And so now I'm curious with the sequel, what musings have I had that I'm going to be right? By the way, 9 times out of 10, I'm wrong. Anything I guess about anything, I get lucky sometimes, but usually I'm completely off base. But I think that's it. I just want more. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
give me more.
Okay, okay, okay. Lena, what
I
about
think
you?
for me, in our writers group, you had mentioned that was it is based off of Guyanese folklore,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I don't know much about their folklore, so I
Oh,
almost wanted to see,
I
like,
think that's true too. Yes.
an
yeah.
addendum to
Yeah.
the book of here is the story that this kind of came from,
Okay.
but it sounds
Mm,
like book 2 might have some of
It
that.
definitely will. In fact,
Mhm,
book two centers on that, like the
I love
origin
that.
of what he is and what that looks like from the Guyanese folklore, the
I
name
love
and
that.
what they created. And a lot of it very much is uncharted territory. I'm pretty much making up my own version of it because folklore,
Yay.
they're very short stories and they tell you, okay, this is the lesson, this is the monster, but I'm giving this whole story of, okay, I'm stretching it out so much. I have no idea if I'm doing it well, but we'll see. We'll see.
mhm. Yeah, I was picturing it like you always hear about Cinderella retellings or
Yeah.
different, Hansel and Gretel and different things, and I was like, I don't know the source story, so now I'm
Yes.
really excited to read book 2.
Yeah. But I mean, when you think about it, it would have been unnatural for me to give
Mhm.
the information because of we have so many unreliable narrators. So Ariane, she doesn't know what's happening. She just knows this person is in her head and chasing her.
Yes.
Then Leech, he doesn't know what's happening either. He just knows that he used to live at this time and now he's here and now he feels like he has this purpose. So there
Mhm.
was nobody to explain it. So now we're going to see the explanation
I love
from a
that.
different perspective. So yeah,
I think that is gonna
So
make it so fun and kind of like you said, like, it's like the layers. We're gonna have a bit deeper understanding.
yeah.
so is book 2 going to have the same characters? Is it going to introduce new characters?
Okay, so
Or whatever you're willing to share. It's okay. It's okay.
it definitely, of course, is gonna have Leech. So,
Mhm,
but it's definitely going to have some of the same characters. If it has more, I don't know how much more I'm gonna show because I don't want it to be a repeat of the last book, and I do want to introduce some new characters. But I also like to keep my characters like in a very small community. I don't like to go too far out.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're gonna see some of the same characters coming back. But who? You'll just need to
mhm.
wait to
We'll have to
find
read and
out
see.
because we don't know what happened to them in the end of Leech, and we don't know what happened to them after. So yeah, and I'm a kill your darlings kind of writer.
Ooh.
As much as I hate death in books, I don't mind it in my thrillers. So
Yeah,
kill them
I mean,
all.
in a
Kill them
thriller,
all.
you gotta have death in a thriller,
Mhm.
unfortunately, or else there's
Yeah.
nothing to thrill you about. It's the thrill of death.
Yes. I got in I got in Instagram jail once because there was a podcast. The podcast had put like they were collecting listener ideas for the no's of books, like what people don't like in there. And I commented animal death. And then I said, kill all the people, but leave the animals alone. And I got
What?
flagged because it said, because I was like, I can't believe I commented that on a public, I meant it. Like it went with the topic, but
It
Yeah,
did, but
I got flagged.
ooh, but we get you though, LG. I get you. I understand.
But I was just like, no, it was on my private account though. So that's what made it even more funny. It wasn't even on my Bookstagram. It was just
No.
my
Oh
private
yeah. So
account.
there's this person coming out talking about killing everybody. Okay, got it.
Yes, I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah. Yeah.
bad.
You
Ooh,
probably
Oh
but
have
my
an
that's the
gosh.
FBI
reason
file now.
I'll keep that in mind. No, no, I'll keep that in mind because indeed, like you never know when you get too literary and then you go
Mhm.
all into it and then, they take it literally.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, oopsies. That's fine.
And you
It's
said
fine.
you're working on book 2. Do you have an
Yes.
anticipated publish date, or when can we look forward to book 2?
So I am arduously working toward the end of the year into next year, at least to finish the first draft. I think after your first draft, you'll give yourself about 3, 4 months to get it through your editors and your beta readers and such. But I'm trying also not to get myself worked up with anxiety because I am prone to that. So,
Mhm.
and then for example, I spent 6 months going in a particular direction, and like 2 weeks ago, I threw everything out. So,
Oh my gosh.
but I'm still working towards it. So we'll see. We'll see. But my aim is the end of the month. I mean, the end of the year.
The
What am I
year, yeah.
saying? I'm gonna kill myself.
I'm like, it's only a
You better
couple of
get to
weeks
writing.
or
I'm gonna
less.
put myself in so much trouble. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, writing
Cool.
is not an easy task, and I know you said that it took you 10 years to write the first one, right?
Like 11 years to
11?
get it to like finish, and then another year to work through that editing process. And a lot of it is just because of self-doubt and you don't know what's the next step. So
That's
it
fair.
was just stopping and figuring out, okay, what happens when you get into this writer's block? How do you get out of it? How do you fix this literary problem? How do I stop editing and re-editing? It was a lot. And then life got in the way, as it would.
Yes.
So lots of stops and starts for many reasons. But now with book 2, I understand the writing process so much better. I understand how to balance it with my current responsibilities. So it's easier to stick to a schedule. And so when I say end of this year to next year, I know what it takes to get it out at that point. So, I'm just working towards it, yeah, in the best way possible.
And your book
Exciting.
is it still on Kindle Unlimited?
It is, yeah, it's on
Okay.
KU. And but recently I was actually advised to check out platforms like Ingram Spark to get it a bit more into some other bookstores. So I might have to take it off KU. I'm not sure. Again, it's all part of the learning process because most of my books have been sold in person. Guyana loves
Mm-hmm.
Leech, and I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess because I'm not physically in the States, I haven't
Mm-hmm.
really been able to focus on my marketing there, but it's definitely something I'm going to do because Leech is around forever. So I can market it forever.
Yes. Yes.
He's
Yes.
already survived the first 1800s and
I mean, he's
19
not.
he's just gonna be
If it's
around
anybody
forever.
that's determined, yeah, if it's anybody that's determined to still exist, it's Leech. So
Yep.
Percent. He doesn't want to go anywhere.
no, no, he's like, I have a purpose in this current time.
He does. He does.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's
So,
cool.
is this
Okay.
the genre
Go
that you
ahead.
usually read in? Or
Yeah, absolutely. Actually,
okay.
I'm big on horrors. Horrors and thrillers are my go-to. Stephen
Mm-hmm.
King is where I started out. Actually, let me go way back. Goosebumps. R.L. Stein.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I grew up,
100%.
yeah, I grew up on Goosebumps, getting a
Mhm.
big collection. I've always been into horrors and just telling those types of stories. And then with our
Yeah.
folklore, yeah, I mean, it's a rich type of storytelling. And then you can build such, really good metaphors and talk about life with those things. So I really enjoy experimenting with that genre. Yeah.
I love that. That's so fun. Yay. So yeah, Goosebumps, same here. Fear Street. No,
Yeah.
I know all this
Yep.
stuff that I'm like, I don't like supernatural, but I sure did read a lot of
I
it
mean,
when I
I'm
was
not questioning. Are we talking about the same supernatural?
I think, but here's the thing, I also love Stephen King. So maybe I don't know. But you know
Yeah.
what I think it is? I think when it's like religious, like demons, like actual demons, like Maybe because of The Exorcist, like, freaked me out as a kid. I don't
Yeah. So it's a
you know?
specific type of supernatural. I have a friend like that actually. She'll deal with like human killers, but she won't deal with like the monsters and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I guess
But I
it's an
love King. I love Stephen King. I don't know. I don't
yeah,
make
he
sense.
really
It's
does get
fine.
very dark. He gets really dark.
He
Yeah.
really does.
And
So maybe
I don't read a lot of horror, but every time that I go to write something,
That's
it's
what you write.
horror or supernatural every time. And I'm like, what the
it's
heck?
it's fun though. No, it's really fun because I think
Yes.
more than any other genre, it has the most layers that you can experiment with. So I totally understand. I never question when somebody says they like it because I know what I get from it.
Yeah.
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 So we
So,
talked
yeah.
about the genres that you read. What books are you
Mhm.
Yes.
currently reading? I know you have
It's
some to show us.
really I'm actually yeah, no, I do, but I'm not actually reading in the genre exactly. So right now, I split it so that I can increase my reading for the year. I split between audiobooks and physical books. So the
Mhm.
audiobook that I'm
Yes.
reading that I'm listening to right now is called The Caretaker, and that is a horror. It's by Marcus Clearer. I hope I said his name right.
Okay.
So it's a very creepy story about a house caretaker that has to do some very questionable things because the house otherwise will do some bad things. So
Very cool.
so it's I've just started it and it's just creepy so far. But the other set of reading I'm excited to show you because it's not in my genre, but it's helping to inform my third book because I recently read this beautiful piece
Oh,
here.
I love
Yes.
that book. So good.
I think this has quickly become my favorite book in recent times. I was
Nice.
so blown away by just how this book was so well written and just the story behind it. I was so frustrated with Cersei for a while,
Yes.
but you know, but
Yes.
but but I mean, apart from that, it really inspired me to come up with my next book, which is going to be a psychological thriller in the 1800s again. But in order to like get into some research, I am reading two nonfiction books, and that one is this one is called "The Women Who Rule the World." I mean,
Ooh.
the camera is back to front, but it's in reverse. But
Say our
so the
podcast
women who
listeners, they need to hear it. Yeah.
Yes.
so the women who rule the world, and then there's another one, Queens at War. So we'll see how that goes. I'm really enjoying it because you're learning about the women in that time. And so we'll see how book three goes. It might give you a hint as to what I'm writing about.
So the Queens of War looked like a thick book too.
It
Yeah.
is a thick book, but I'm not reading it cover to cover. Like I have a
Mhm,
specific type of character that I'm creating. So
mhm.
I'm looking to see what these queens have in common and just,
Very cool.
taking my inspiration from it. So research is just the most important. It's really fun for your book. It's one of my favorite parts for writing, just researching.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet there was some interesting things researching Leech.
Let's just say I can be an 1800s doctor. Which didn't take a lot, by the way, because they were so experimental. They did their own thing. Was it like anybody could be a doctor at that time?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
any man at least.
Any man.
Yeah.
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 I guess
I
they
love
probably
that.
didn't have a bunch of schooling programs.
No, so actually, what you would do, you would go to Oxford, but then when you come out of Oxford or one of the schools at the time, I can't remember all the names. Then you would go to apprentice. So most of the time, it was learning from someone. I mean, it's not unlike what's happening here, but like the hygiene and the tools and stuff were not as intact as now. So because like hand washing was not part of their practice until very late into the
Yes.
Right.
yeah, so like simple things like hand washing was not part of what they did. So a lot of people died, of course.
Well, I just saw a reel yesterday on Instagram where it was talking about how they didn't put together that the reason there was this high, like, postpartum death
Okay.
until, like, a man going from, like, an autopsy to a like, instead of it they go from autopsies to births, not washing hands, women
Yes.
dying, and
Yes.
then when a man cut himself after an autopsy and died with similar things, they're like, "Oh, maybe we should wash our hands," and it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually that's pretty much how it happens. So and then you used to have a lot of maternal deaths as a result. So because they're just going from, like you said, autopsies to births, just one process. It was very yeah, people were just making it the best way they knew how.
I mean, and he was experimenting. Some of this
Yes.
was experimenting to learn.
Yeah, yeah,
It
I
just
guess
went dark.
it just had to be collateral damage, I guess.
I mean, that's horrible, but yes, yes.
That's what I mean, really and truly, that's what it ended up being,
Mhm.
unfortunately, but they learned from it. So yeah.
Yeah.
I just really loved your book.
I did
I'm glad
too.
that you took
Thank
the
you so
time and the
much.
effort to write it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, now I have major anxiety because I don't know if maybe the key was writing over 11 years, you know? Maybe when I write it in 1 year, it's not going to be as good. Who knows?
Oh, I bet it will.
We'll
Well,
see.
like you said, you've learned a lot.
I have learned a lot and I'm hoping that, my writing has matured. I've seen the maturity in my writing and it's really good to see. But I think the just how organic the process was in the first experience, that's what I'm going to miss, just winging it and just walking through the dark and learning as I go along. So, I mean, I'm still learning now, but quicker. And I definitely have a lot of lessons from the first book. So, but we'll see. I'm doing my best. I think that's the best you can do when you're in this journey. So we'll see. And I'm always open to feedback because not everyone will like what you write. Not everyone will agree with it. But this one is definitely darker.
And you did just win an award, right?
Well, I was shortlisted. Yeah,
Okay.
so Leech was shortlisted for a couple of awards, and earlier this year it won second place in the Book Fest Awards. But most recently, it was shortlisted for the Guyana Prize for Literature, which is my country's national literary
That's
prize.
so cool.
And so I'm super excited because it's my first book, my first attempt, and here I am, standing next to people who've won previously and they're going again. So feels really
That's
good
cool.
to know
Yeah.
that this little story of mine was not as crazy as I thought.
I know, it
Yeah.
was amazing.
It was
It was
actually,
amazing.
welcomed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
So,
reception that you had
very
for
cool.
all of this has been phenomenal.
I think it's every writer's dream. And I was telling someone on another podcast the other day that I don't think I would trade it because, when you're an independent author, there's so much stigma attached to independent publishing. And because there's a wide margin, right? Like the books that take the time to go out and then the other books where people just write and put it out there. So there's a
Mhm.
there's a huge margin that people judge you against. And so it's hard to convince people that, hey, I'm on this side of the spectrum, like
Right.
I'm doing this. But so when people accept your work and they really see it and recognize it in this way, and then you get to interact with your readers one on one. And I think that journey is just really unique and I'm not sure if I'm ready to look into trad publishing just yet. I mean, just because of how much I've enjoyed this
Mhm.
experience. Not that I'll necessarily stay here. I think opportunities if they come across, of course, but I'm not gonna chase behind it too much just because I like this way of developing as a writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
I think that's awesome.
Love
And I
it.
think it's good to hear that
All right.
because so many people do chase the dream of the trad publishing and they miss out on
They do.
all these opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
All
mean,
right.
that's a whole other conversation. I have been looking at everything in the industry, like how long people have been querying and just how much validation they put on it. And I
Mhm.
understand it, but at the same time, I think the industry itself is changing. It's becoming very subjective. And if you really are passionate about your writing, you're going to get it out there once you're confident as a writer that you put your book through the right channels and you've polished it in a good enough way. I think that you can still do as well as traditional publishers rather than waiting on a very subjective industry to tell you, yes, we'll accept you. Again, I am not saying that it's not a good opportunity. Of course it is, but I think you can find just as much joy and success as an independent author once you do it well.
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
thinking that goes
Very
back
cool.
to Leech, though, about trying to get the
Yes.
acceptance. And I was like, ooh, we can all draw
There's
correlations.
layers.
So there you see where some of my thoughts went into. Yeah, there you
Hmm.
see. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait to see your second book. And if y'all want to follow Jasmine on Instagram, like I said, I'll post that in the show notes. And we'll also post where you can find Jasmine's book. And
Yeah.
Just everybody go read Leech. It is a page turner. You will get through it quickly and love every minute of it.
Yes, you will.
Thank you so much, Leyna and LJ, for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
Yes, no problem. My pleasure.
And hopefully soon we'll get to meet in person when you come to Texas. Yay!
We'll set a date ahead of time so that as soon as I get there, we meet in the middle.
Yes. Perfect.
Yes,
at a fun bookstore, at an independent bookstore, Leyna.
Or at the book festival.
Or at the book festival, which is in Austin, so it's closer to you, so it's not far.
Yes.
We have dates coming up.
Yeah. We'll meet for sure.
Yes, for sure. And then we'll post it as proof.
Yes.
Yep.
Maybe we'll get Chris to come down with that too, because she's going to be jealous.
Yes. We should get her. Absolutely.
So yes. All right. Well, cool. Well, I guess until next time, you guys. So bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to More Than a Book Club podcast. We are recorded and produced in McKinney, Texas.
Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and follow us on Instagram and TikTok.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.